Okay, alright, so we have question number 29 on page 137. This is from the chain rule section, and it gives you this humongous function right here. Very intimidating, but if you follow the rules I gave you, this seems to fit the chain rule pattern because I have something, some quantity in parentheses raised to some power. So once you have that scenario, you should be able to think, okay, chain rule. Alright, so we're going to use the chain rule on this guy. Hopefully I can get my pen tool to work. Alright, now, so how does it go? Well, first of all, we know that we have g of x. That's the derivative. Now, chain rule works where we take this exponent, bring it to the front, and subtract 1 from the original exponent. So I should have 2 x plus 5, whatever that was there, that still goes there, and subtract 1 from here and you get 1, so you don't need that 1 there. Now you have to remember times the derivative of the inside, and this is where things get a little sticky, alright, because the inside here is a quotient. So the only way we can find the derivative of this guy is to use the quotient rule. So here's the quotient rule, if you can't remember: v u prime minus u v prime over v squared. So we have to use this formula for the inside because that's a quotient. Alright, so here we go. V, which is the top, sorry, my bad, u is the top, v is the bottom. Alright, so u is the top, v is the bottom. So we're going to start with v. Here's your formula, v, which is the bottom. So you should have, let me put everything in parentheses now, x squared plus 2, that's v, times the derivative of u. Well, what's the derivative of here? Well, the derivative of x is 1 and the derivative of 5 is 0. So that's just going to be this guy times 1. Well, it stays the same. Alright, then I'm here now, minus uv prime. Remember, u is your top, so I'm going to have u, which is x plus 5, right, times the derivative of the bottom, v prime. Alright, what is the derivative of the bottom? Well, using the power rule here, you get 2x. Okay, so that's the top, and then the bottom is easy. You always just square the bottom function, which is this guy. So, and there's no need to multiply that out, just leave it like this. Okay, now we're probably going to want to simplify this here on top. Alright, because you can, distribute and combine like terms and all that good stuff. Alright, so to get the back of the book answer, so here we're going to have 2, and this stays the same, x plus 5 over x squared plus 2. Nothing, I did nothing here, but here I'm on the top, I'm going to, distribute and combine like terms. So this stays the same, x squared plus 2, and then when I distribute here, I'm going to get 2x times x is 2x squared. Now remember, this negative is going to change all these signs in a minute. Alright, so I'm going to have negative 2x squared, and 2x times 5, that gives you 10x, but this negative is going to change it to negative. Alright, so negative 10x all over this guy. Okay, so I haven't done anything to the bottom. All I'm doing is simplifying the top right here. Okay, now as you can see, we can go even one more step further because we have like terms here, x squared negative 2x squared. Alright, so we could go one more step and get 2. So I've done nothing to here. I've just kept bringing it down and simplifying the other thing. Alright, And when we simplify these two, combining like terms, we have 1x squared minus 2x squared. And that should give us negative x squared. Okay? So we're going to have negative x squared. And then there's this, this x by itself here, nothing to combine with. So negative 10x. And then this positive 2. Alright? And then we got this. Alright? Now, back of the book went one extra step with this. Okay? They factored out a negative 1 from here, here, and here so that this could become positive. And when they factored out this negative 1, they brought it to the front and made this negative 2. Alright? So if you're looking at the back of the book, you're saying, well, Mr. Williams, this is not the same, but we're going to make it look the same right now. Okay? So let me move this trash pan right here. To get the answer that Bob has, if you factor out a negative 1 from here, from all of these three terms right here, that's legit, right? It would come on the outside, and then negative 1 times this 2 would become negative 2. Alright? And then you could have x plus 5 right here. That stays the same. Now, since you factored out a negative 1 from this term, and this term, basically all the signs will change right here. So you're going to have x squared positive. Now this is going to become positive 10x, and then this becomes negative 2. Alright? That should be in parentheses, but for some reason I can't get it to go. Okay? And then now look at the bottom. I have x squared plus 2, and this really is to the first power. This 2 only goes with the top. It doesn't go with the bottom. So this x squared plus 2 times this x squared plus 2, well, what should we do here to combine these two to get the back of the book answer? Well, you have like bases. When you multiply like bases, you do what? You add the exponents. So we're going to keep the base, which is x squared plus 2, right? That's your base. And this is 1 to the first power plus 2 to the first power, right? So 2 plus 1 gives you 3, all right? And there we go. So that was totally the answer that Bob had, all right, at the back of the book, all right? Now, I would have accepted this here at this level, okay? Because you simplified here and you got that, but it just depends on if this was a multiple choice question, what would your answer look like? So you have to play the algebra game to get to match your answer accordingly. Okay, so hopefully you found this useful and you'll be able to use it on a quiz or a test.